So recently, Kamala Harris went on Shannon Sharpe's podcast, and around 36 minutes, she said this.
Blacks for Trump. They feel that Trump is better for the black community. Can you explain Donald Trump's history with blacks? Where did this come that all of a sudden, I mean, it's been like this because a lot of people used to say, I'm Donald Trump of the ghetto, because he was, I mean, for a lot of blacks, not all, but for some blacks, he was, Madam VP, whether we want to admit it or not, he's revered by some blacks.
But here's the thing. The question for everybody, should he be president of the United States?
Okay.
Right? That's the question. Should he have the ability to sit behind the seal of the President of the United States when he says he wants to terminate the Constitution of the United States? You know what that would mean? In the Constitution of the United States is your Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable search and seizure, your Fifth Amendment right, your Sixth Amendment right to an attorney.
Well, a lot of rights going to be gone. The First Amendment.
But the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. Yes. Look, I'm in favor of the Second Amendment. I don't believe we should be taking anybody's guns away.
Shannon Sharpe asked her why some black Americans support Trump. In Harris's response, she immediately pivots to saying the real question is whether Trump should be president, suggesting
he wants to terminate the Constitution of the United States.
She then starts listing rights in the Constitution like the Fourth, Fifth, Sixth Amendments, and even throws in the First and Second Amendment, claiming Trump wants to end them all. Then she says, I'm in favor of the Second Amendment. I don't believe we should be taking anyone's guns away. Now, about her claim that Trump wants to terminate the Constitution. This idea she's referencing comes from a post Trump made on Truth Social. Donald Trump's initial Truth post said this. Trump posts about alleged massive and widespread fraud in the 2020 election, and then says a massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Sure, at face value, this sounds extreme. But take a closer look, especially considering Trump isn't exactly known for choosing his words with precision. What I see here is Trump trying to express frustration about what he sees as fraud in the election. Now, I'm not here to debate whether there was fraud or not fraud. What I'm saying is that Trump's follow-up post clarifies his intent. Donald Trump's second truth post says this. 2 days later, he says, the fake news is actually trying to convince American people that I said I wanted to terminate the Constitution. This is simply more disinformation and lies. What I said was that when there is massive and widespread fraud and deception, steps must be immediately taken to right the wrong. Again, Trump isn't the most articulate person in the world. He's upset and believes there was fraud and feels drastic measures should be taken. But nowhere does he actually say, let's destroy the Constitution. He's talking about implementing constitutional remedies if fraud exists, not shredding the document, because, as he said in the post, in the Constitution. So his initial post honestly doesn't really make much sense considering what he's crying about in that particular post, but that's neither here nor there. However, Kamala Harris, well, I got actual video footage of her advocating for policies that go directly against the Constitution and all of the points that she just brought up. Here's Kamala shitting on the First Amendment.
We will hold social media platforms accountable for the hate infiltrating their platforms because they have a responsibility to help fight against this threat to our democracy. And if you profit off of hate, if you act as a megaphone for misinformation or cyber warfare, if you don't police your platforms, we are going to hold you accountable as a community.
And it should be taken down. And the bottom line is that you can't say that you have one rule for Facebook and you have a different rule for Twitter. The same rule has to apply, which is that there has to be a responsibility that is placed on these social media sites to understand their power. They are directly speaking to millions and millions of people without any level of oversight or regulation. And that has to stop.
Now here's Kamala shitting on the Fourth Amendment.
It's people who own guns who are quietly sitting on those guns, and those guns might end up being the weapons of the destruction of a community because they get in the hands of some kid who decides that they like what they see on television and they want to act that way. So this is about just basically saying that we're going to require responsible behaviors among everybody in the community, and just because you legally possess a gun in the sanctity of your locked home
doesn't mean that we're not going to walk into that home and check to see if you're being responsible and safe in the way you conduct your affair.
Oh, and since she wants to bring up the Fifth Amendment, as a prosecutor, she actively supported policies that went against the right to fair treatment.
Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place.
But when it comes to the Second Amendment, Harris claims to support it. But here's footage of her saying and doing the complete opposite live in 4K.
And where exactly Vice President Kamala Harris stands on the Second Amendment is coming into question.
Here is national correspondent Kayla Gaskins with more on the position.
During Thursday's gun violence event at the White House, Kamala Harris calling for stricter gun control laws.
And I believe we need to reinstate the assault weapons ban and pass universal background checks, safe storage laws, and red flag laws.
But she's also branding herself as a proud gun owner while on the campaign trail.
I and Tim Walz are both gun owners. We will not take anybody's guns away.
Critics pointing out Harris supported banning handguns earlier in her career. In 2005, while serving as district attorney of San Francisco, Harris sponsored Proposition H, which banned San Francisco residents from buying, owning, and even possessing handguns. The law struck down by state court before taking effect.
At this point, do I even need to add anything else? She's doing the same manipulative dance as a toxic partner, accusing someone else of exactly what she's doing herself. This entire narrative she's pushing is absurd. Say what you want about Trump's post, at least he clarified his statements 2 days later. Has Harris ever clarified or backpedaled on her stance to ban assault weapons? Nope. She still calls them assault weapons, and they're not. She still advocates for it, claiming it's common sense while claiming to respect the Second Amendment. That is straight up confiscation. You're literally talking about taking people's guns while telling us you don't want to take people's guns. Harris doesn't get a free pass to claim she's a defender of constitutional rights when she's openly on record contradicting multiple amendments. And yet, here she is doing just that. Honestly, watching her say these things without flinching is like watching peak level projection and gaslighting in action. I support the Second Amendment, except I want to ban assault weapons. Yeah, that's respecting the Constitution, all right. Now, think what you want about the information I've shown here, but if you're asking who genuinely respects the Constitution, you know, I can actually see a possible argument that Trump may not. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I can see where it's coming from. But on the flip side, I can with absolute certainty prove that Kamala Harris doesn't respect the Constitution. I just did. But hey, guess what? It's hoodie season. So make sure you grab yourself one of my state-specific Keep America Tactical hoodies like I'm wearing right now at shop.mrcolionnoir.com or click the link in the description section. Oh, and don't forget to check out my favorite in-ear Bluetooth wireless hearing protection, the AKT1 Blackouts. They have a 25 dB noise rating, they have auto blocking, they have pass-through hearing so you can hear what's going on around you. And with the Bluetooth, you can listen to music and take phone calls all while you're at the range, protecting your hearing at the same time. So click the link in the description section of this video and grab you a pair and grab you one of these awesome state-specific Keep America Tactical premium embroidered hoodies. One thing's for certain and two things are for sure. Politicians and tech giants don't want gun content to be recommended to you. And we're all fighting this culture war together. Now you can help do your part by liking, commenting, subscribing to the channel, but most importantly, sharing this video with at least one person. Together we can stop the suppression of our 2A rights. And don't forget to click the link in the description section of this video for the products that I mentioned in this video.